folks. Fred Blake here with Bill DeWeese on another weekly roundup. And again, we had a week that would make the Chicago Cubs feel like they weren't alone.
Yeah, I guess everybody goes through a slump, and this is a rebuilding year, as we like to say. It's like as sports teams like to say. And it wasn't awful. I made just over $2,000, $2,021. So it may have been my lowest week of the year. I don't know that for sure offhand, but it was very close, if not the lowest.
Right. All I know is that Vicky said she didn't go to the grocery store.
Yeah, no groceries. Yeah, we can't live on $2,000 a week, No. Of course, we're doing. DeWeese's are doing okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a slower week than usual. Monday, I had one of my regular clients I do a lot of CAD training for, and so I had that. I did some on hold messaging for a restaurant, and aside from that, I was knocking out auditions.
And did you, by any chance, put into place the tool that measures the amount of time you spent on auditions?
Yeah, I've been using that for the last couple of weeks.
And so, how much do you have that data? I'm just curious.
I'd have to log into the account.
Don't worry about it. Well, we can. I
was looking at it the other day, and I don't know. I didn't figure out how it was showing like a percentage of time.
Yeah.
And I need to spend more time so I understand what I'm looking at. But it shows me spending more time in Microsoft Word and in my Chrome browser than actually recording this week.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. In other words, when you're in Adobe Audition, you're actually doing stuff that produces revenue most of the time, correct?
Right. Yes.
Yes. That'll give us an indication. If we looked at last week's amount of time spent in Adobe Audition, I think that we would find a direct, correlation between, when you do your $6,000, $7,000 week versus the $2,000 week. My guess is you're going to have 30% of the time you'd spent on the $2,000 week in an Adobe Audition versus the other.
Yeah, it could very well be so. And you also have to understand, it's like any other job, the amount of time where you're sitting down where you're actually doing the final work is not always as great as even the time preparing for it, dealing with the client, getting the script. There's a lot that goes into doing a job aside from just recording. And actually, this brought to the forefront, because I usually don't even think about it. I'm just so used to the process. But as I was doing it, I thought, holy cow, I really do spend a lot of time, with the email, getting the script, prepping the script, yada, yada. So anyhow, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, okay. So Monday, you had one job and a bunch of auditions that you did. What happened on Tuesday?
Tuesday, I did some more CAD training. I did a really cool, this was a agent job. I won this through a talent agency to do something called the Nantucket Fund. It's the community of Nantucket is promoting themselves in some way, and they chose me to do the narration for their for some sort of presentational thing. So that was a lot of fun because I like working with clients because I love the feedback I get from clients. I work by myself. It's always nice to get some affirmation saying, wow, that was great. I really enjoyed working with you. So I always enjoy those opportunities, especially when the week's slow. I need as much of that as I could get. So I did that. And I did some IT narration for something called Brocade. It's an IT technology. So those three jobs on Tuesday.
Okay.
Wednesday, I had fun, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, recording. There's a company called ISS. They're really big in Europe, but they also have a U.S. presence. They have a big corporate meeting in Disney World coming up, and I was chosen to record the introduction of the corporate executives for the big meetings. And the session was directed by a gentleman. He was German, but many of the pronunciations were Danish. So there was a German guy directing me through a script with a lot of Danish pronunciations, and it went as well as can be expected, but he was very amused at my attempts to pronounce Danish names. And he was extremely patient, very kind, but there was quite a bit of chuckling going on his end of the conversation, I will say that.
Well, you give him a medical script in English and see how he does.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So, in those kind of things, you just have to relax and say, it is what it is. And usually clients are just really cool. They're usually very flexible. They know you're a pro, And they don't expect you to know every single thing, so they're there to help you through the process.
Yeah. You're a pro, but not a native Danish
I'm not a
speaker.
native. No, nor do I. No, yeah. I mean, nor will I ever be. I had an explainer video narration for a company that provides local phone numbers for international businesses. So that was a nice little job. And then I had a Source Connect session with a studio out in Baltimore where I did a couple of IT narrations. I do a lot of IT narration, in case you haven't, our listeners haven't picked up on that. Yeah. Thursday, more CAD training. I did another tech script, so in keeping with the theme of IT. And then Friday, yet more CAD narration and some more corporate narration as well. And the cool thing was I did hear back from a number of clients from auditions where I got really positive feedback. And there's a couple that are waiting to set up sessions from auditions I did previously. And I also nailed down a $700 narration job that should come in tomorrow. Nailed that down last week. And there was I almost said incident. It's not an incident. I was just contacted by somebody I did an audition for that told me from 92 auditions, I had made the final 2. So it was between me and another guy. And by the way, they were casting for a Morgan Freeman type voice.
Oh, really?
So this speaks to the idea, and I did a video about this not long ago. When somebody says the voice of God, that doesn't mean you have to speak necessarily with a low resonance. It means you need to speak with authority and with confidence.
Yep.
Because that's...
So given the fact that you did just the $2,000 this week, if you were kind of just gut estimate, how much time did you really spend? Was this like a 20% in the booth kind of thing?
Yeah, I would say that's very close. Very close. Yeah, give or take a few percentage points.
Got it. Okay. Well, then any other lessons that you learned, I mean, from this one? Because, again, people should be, as they're watching or listening to us while we do these, it's important that they understand that we're giving people the real numbers. We're not inflating anything to make you look better than you are. We're giving you the honest...
I wanted to, but Fred just refused. He said, no, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Of course I'm going to be honest with you, but I'll be honest with you when I say it hurts to tell you this because it holds my feet to the fire, and I'd love to come every week and say I'm doing $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, but it just doesn't work that way. But back to your question about lessons learned, one is you have to stay the course. Once you're confident you're on the right course, which I am. I mean, I've done this long enough to know that. If it was earlier on in my career, I'd probably be panicking. But once you know you're on the right path, and if you're having proper guidance, that should give you confidence that you're on the good coaching. You stick with it. You just hang in, and you should get signs. There should be signs along the way that say you're doing the right things. Like, for instance, I had a number of clients contact me and say, hey, really liked your audition. Are you available coming up in the next few weeks? This one that I just mentioned to you where I was narrowed down to 2, I didn't tell you the rest of the story. The rest of the story was I wasn't chosen for that job. I was beat by the other guy. But that's just the way it is. But it's a sign. And they told me the client, actually the agency said, I really liked your read, but the client wanted the other person, but I will definitely keep you in mind for upcoming projects. So that's a victory. I did something I tell people never to do. I logged into my voices.com account to see how many likes I had received. But I did it for a reason. I wanted to see if there's a trend. If I'm slipping, and thumbs up it will give you an indicator. And of my last 6 jobs, I had 5 thumbs up, which is a very strong, that's better than average for me, which tells me I'm doing well on my auditions. I just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's just like if you're Bryce Harper and you're normally an amazing hitter and you go through a month and a half, 6 weeks of not hitting so well, you just got to stay the course.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're a bad hitter. It just means, it's like watching the stock market. If you get too focused on a day or a week or even a month, then you'll be a terrible investor. You really have to back up and get a big picture view and make sure you're trending in the right direction.
There is a poker analogy here, which is variance, which is just like flipping a coin. You can flip a coin, and on average, it'll be one every other time. It'll be heads, but you can flip a coin, and 8 times in a row, it might be tails.
Right. Yes. So the variance is you got to keep that in mind at all times. If you get too focused on any given day, be it good or bad, it will really give you a skewed perspective of what you're doing.
Well, I guess this is a rather shortened version of this, folks. But I think that's all we got.